Today I'm going to go over the 10 reasons I decided to buy my very own Epiphone inspired by Gibson ES335. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everybody. Today I'm going to talk about this beautiful, inspired by Gibson Epiphone ES335 in red cherry. A beautiful guitar that I decided to buy even though I'm a proud owner of a Gibson 335. I couldn't resist. Honestly, it was a no-brainer for me, and today I'm going to go over the 10 reasons why I convinced myself to buy this great guitar. So right from the get-go, we're going to talk about the headstock. The headstock has turned quite a few heads, and I'm one of them. I was not a big fan of the original headstock design on the older Epiphones. Gibson has finally decided to make the headstocks much more similar to what they have on their Gibson lines, and I'm a big fan. Honestly, this was one of the main reasons why I finally decided it was time for me to get an Epiphone. And I think that the look of the headstock is just the starting point in terms of the other features that are very similar to the full-blown, more expensive big brother, the Gibson ES335. Now, the neck shape on this guitar is not the same as the Gibson. It's actually a rounder C-shape neck, and although it's not the same, I like it because it's not the same. So that might be a little bit counterintuitive because maybe people are buying these guitars expecting them to be very similar to the Gibson versions, but in some instances there are some features that are different, but pleasantly so. I'm actually happy that the neck is slightly different, a little bit rounder than my Gibson, but that makes it less redundant. So I don't want to have any redundant guitars in my collection. So I'm happy that this one feels slightly different, but is still a pleasure to play. Now, I also love the balance of this guitar. It is a little bit hefty at a little bit over 8.3 pounds. So it's not an extremely light guitar, even though it is a semi-hollow body guitar. But more importantly, it is balanced. So it doesn't actually suffer from any kind of neck dive. And I'm gonna risk letting go of this guitar if I can balance it on my thigh here without dropping it. I'm gonna risk it for you guys very quickly though. I don't want to drop the guitar, but basically it doesn't suffer from neck dive. And some of the older versions of the Epiphones that I tried in the past actually had that issue, and they weren't as comfortable in my opinion. So I'm pretty happy that the guitar, although it's a little hefty, it's balanced and sits nicely on your lap when you're strumming it without any of that. Now, for those of you that have been tuning into my channel, you probably already know that one of my favorite pickups for a 335 is the Gibson 57 Classic. Beautiful pickup in my opinion, and I love the sound of those pickups. Now, the Inspired by version does not use the 57 Classics. They use the Alnico Classic Pros, which are voiced differently. They do not sound like a 57 Classic, so you didn't hear it from me that they sound the same. They are not. They're actually quite a bit more punchy. They cut through the mix quite a bit more, and I would categorize them as more modern sounding pickups. So once again, although they don't sound the same as the original Gibson 335, I do feel that they are very usable pickups, and they do allow you to enjoy a different voicing in the guitar that is very, very applicable to modern music, country, jazz, rock, pretty much anything. They're very versatile. One of the main reasons I was initially attracted to a semi-hollow body guitar is because of the flexibility in terms of the sounds you can get out of this type of guitar. Being semi-hollow with a solid maple block in the middle of it, you have the ability to go get more classic-y sounds, if classic-y is even a word. What I mean by that is, more mellow tones, jazz, classic rock, but at the same time you can kick the crap out of your amplifier with these pickups and get into the more heavier type rock without any issues. So there hasn't really been a guitar that I feel provides as much flexibility in the tones you can get out of it as much as a semi-hollow body 335 like this. So one of the things that caught my attention about the new Epiphone guitars is the fact that they paid very close attention, and I could tell, to the quality control. The fit and finish on these guitars is really awesome. They decided to go with a semi-transparent, beautiful cherry finish over the laminated maple top and sides. Now they could have very well chosen to go with an opaque red paint that would hide the details of the wood, if the wood would be, let's just say, less optimal. But in this case, they didn't do that. You can actually see some of the wood grain underneath. You can actually see the back grain as well. There's no unsightly knots. The paint is flawless. They just did an outstanding job. There's no issues with any of the components on this guitar. I just feel like I have nothing to complain about. And that is really refreshing, being that the Epiphone is more of a budget centric guitar. The next thing that convinced me to buy this guitar is the fact that they stayed very close to the original in terms of the features. Now, they could have very easily changed the style of the knobs, or perhaps, gone with a very generic, I don't even know what this thing is called, the little thing here that holds the pick guard at the right angle. Now, they could have easily just used a regular chrome bent piece of metal like they do on some other import guitars, but they decided to actually go full Monty and use the same hardware that you would see on the more expensive Big Brother. And I'm happy that they did that. Even details like, the inside of the F-holes here being painted black as opposed to having, a trim like you see on some import models. The fact that they went with the tulip style tuners, that is awesome. And these are things that I really like to see, including the fact that they did not cheap out and remove the side binding. I think that would have been a huge mistake. So they didn't do that. So they stayed tried and true to the original. And, that is, I think, the main reasons people actually buy these guitars, including, of course, the mahogany neck. The lock-tone 2-nomatic bridge on this guitar really proved to me that they didn't want to skimp out on any of the elements of the guitar. Nickel-plated hardware looks really high quality. You can adjust the height with the screw slots there. You can just slip in a screwdriver and just adjust it, as well as you have the thumb wheel accessibility there as well. So really hardware that I believe will outlast you if you take care of it. And there's no need to worry about this hardware failing on you, which really improves the overall sense of quality and reassurance when you're playing this guitar. Now, speaking of reassurance, that leads me to the next point in my list. This is a working man's guitar. There's no need to baby this guitar, to worry about it failing on you. It's built to last, and it will be able to provide you the quality and the reliability that you need if you're a professional musician or just, a hack around guitar player that enjoys playing a good quality guitar in your basement. There's no need to worry that this guitar will fail on you in the middle of a tour or a gig or a show, because it's put together extremely well. You can really tell. So one of the main reasons I walked out of the store with this guitar is the price. At only $819 Canadian, it's a steal. You're basically getting a heck of a guitar for under $1,000, guys. I mean, how often do you come across a guitar that has beautiful features that are very, very close to the uber expensive counterpart for such a great price? I mean, honestly, the Big Brother Gibson 335 right now sells for about $4,449 here in Canada. That's a lot of money. You're saving yourself a fortune. I mean, honestly, with the money you pocket, you can walk away with a really beautiful amplifier, or, maybe 2 or 3 amplifiers that are not that great, but either way, you come out on top. So I've been a huge fan of 335s, 345s, 355s. I'd love to have them all. Unfortunately, can't afford that. But Gibson and Epiphone have made it a no-brainer for me to actually want, and look for a great all-around guitar, which I'm not going to be afraid of dropping, getting stolen, getting it nicked. I can use this guitar on a day-to-day basis and enjoy the heck out of it. It's a thoroughly enjoyable guitar to play. And as I said, I don't see any reasons why it wouldn't make a great guitar for anyone that's into semi-hollow body guitars. So if you haven't already checked out the Epiphone line of inspired by guitars, please do yourself a favor, because so far I've ended up buying 2 and I'm afraid to go back because I have a feeling I'll walk away with another one. But do yourself a favor if you're into these kind of guitars and have always been reluctant to drop the money that is required for the bigger brother. Check out these more affordable Epiphone inspired by models. I think you're going to be impressed, so much so that you'll probably walk away with one yourself. Hey, if you like what we're doing here on Addicted to Gear, please consider subscribing. We work really hard producing all of our videos, and we appreciate the support.